So a casual radical feminist actually come off as very nice and very, at first, accommodating to men in general. Create the scenario of whatever this dream man looks like. If she's a casual radical feminist, yet and still there's always going to be something in the back of her mind waiting for the shoe to drop. Because at the core of casual radical feminists is an inability to trust and really respect men. Casual radical feminism. This is something that I believe impacts many women in the West, particularly in Black America. Oftentimes when you think of feminism or radical feminism, it's oftentimes very polarized, right? There's this idea of this woman who's maybe aggressive and loud, and she is outside picketing on the front lines, or she is creating this ruckus in the media or doing think pieces. And she's very vocal about women's rights and advocating for women's rights and fighting the patriarchy, right? And so I think there's very much this one-dimensional idea of what a radical feminist can look like. But I don't think we've really unpacked how radical feminism has seeped into mainstream culture. And I believe that some of the most radical feminists, they are casual radical feminists. They may not even identify as it. They may not even say that they are. But in their heart, they are and can be antagonistic to men, to men's rights, and to even equality or parity with men. And I want to caveat, because I know in theory, feminism claims to be about creating equality, parity, and the right for women to choose. And most men and women would agree that there's nothing wrong with that. They would think that that is good. They would think that that is something worth advocating for, and they would support it. Most would. The problem is, in practice, there are aspects of feminism that have become very toxic and have cultivated not only a culture of misandry, but in Black America, it has cultivated misandry on hyperdrive, because very often Black men and white men are put in the same category as far as culpability, when historically Black men and white men have never been in the same level, because Black men have never really had the level of access or institutional power that white men have had. I mean, if you think about it, the first few hundred years, Black men were not even legally considered human. So we exist in a culture where men, including Black men, are judged and are assumed to be hyper-controlling, aggressive, patriarchal, trying to take control women and taking all of the resources, while forgetting that men have had a very different experience, particularly Black men and white men. So with that said, you take that understanding of men are bad, right? You put it in media. This has now been going on for decades. You put it in the education system. You put it in the different articles, the different magazines, the different television shows, the different series, the different movies, and that creates a culture. And what I have noticed, what I've even experienced myself, when I'm coming to recognize, is that much of the toxic elements of feminism are just completely integrated into modern everyday culture. And that is where it becomes casual. That's where casual radical feminism is something you just walk by in the grocery store. You don't just find them only in college campuses or, rallying on the streets, trying to get signatures and change policies. No, you may be sitting next to her in college, or maybe walking by in Whole Foods. It's a lot more casual. It's a lot more in your face. And the thing that I have found about casual radical feminism is that I've noticed a few key characteristics, right? So a casual radical feminist can actually come off as very nice and very, at first, accommodating to men in general. But oftentimes, if you just scratch the surface a little bit, it's the nasty nice energy. It's the, oh, hey, how are you? But, check your patriarchy. Or that's too aggressive. It's, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Right? And so they may start off with this idea of being okay and wanting to create a safe environment for men or liking men. But once you start to have conversations, you'll notice little things, just little comments about men, just little comments about maleness, just little comments about how men can be. Casual, subtle, but it's there. Another thing I've noticed too about casual radical feminists is that they oftentimes like men, or they are sexually attracted to men. They will date them. They may oftentimes be their preference. They may even want to share a life with them and start a family, but there is always an underlying distrust. And this is also what I think comes up in communities particularly in Black America, I think this is a big issue that we see. You have so many Black women who are sexually attracted to Black men and who may even want a Black family, but in their heart, they are casual, but they're radical feminists, meaning they inherently believe Black men are these patriarchal, oppressive, Mr. types. Like they have that fear that could be that man. And so there's always a sense of distrust. There's always in the back of their mind, just who are you really? Okay, I'm gonna be in a relationship with you, but I have to keep one foot over here just in case you get out of line. I can deal with you, but I have to keep this boundary here. I can't go that far. I can't trust you here just in case you get out of line. And so there's always this just in case, always this just in case. And I have found this to be a big issue in relationships where you have the Black man and the Black woman. They're trying to build something. They may love each other. There may be a sense of desire to move on, but there's distrust. She can't really fully trust that person. She can't really fully let him be a man because she's afraid if he's full in his masculinity, she'll be taken advantage of. She'll be abused. And so that's something else I've noticed about the casual radical feminism. What I've also noticed about casual radical feminists, if they do decide to be in relationships with men and try to do that, there is always going to be a sense of control that they want to have. They can't fully rest in their femininity, right? And that's like the crazy paradox, because at the same time, while they may desire to be that, while they may desire to kind of be that damsel in distress, or put another way, to be a woman who can really rest and not have to carry the load or the burden. If she doesn't trust the man, if she believes that man having agency or control over certain things could lead to her being oppressed, then she's always going to have some level of control. She will never allow the man to be the man. She can never fully allow him to lead. If he does try to lead, she's always going to question it. If he does try to give some insight or try to put down some boundaries, she's always going to push against it. She's not going to be able to fully allow the man to be the man, because inherently in her heart, she believes this man is bad. Casual radical feminist. Here's another thing that I've noticed. Even if, say, a woman gets in a relationship with a man, casual radical feminist, he's doing everything well. Let's say he's providing the lifestyle that she wants, paying all the bills, rubbing his back and her feet and cooking food, whatever. Create the scenario of whatever this dream man looks like. If she's a casual radical feminist, yet and still there's always going to be something in the back of her mind waiting for the shoe to drop. Because at the core of casual radical feminists is an inability to trust and really respect men. And that is something that a lot of women in America and in Black America deal with. Now, I'm not going to say all, but this is something that is so prevalent. It's anti-Black misandry. But the reason I call it casual radical feminist is because, or casual radical feminism, is because it's become so ingrained in our culture, we don't necessarily notice it. It's easy to miss. It's easy to overlook because it's so subtle, or just because it's been so normalized. But I think it's those kinds of ideas, it's those kinds of behaviors, it's those kinds of ideologies that continue to create a wedge. And I'm here to say, I can acknowledge that there is obviously a lot of tensions that exist in Black America for many reasons, right? Obviously in relationships, and there have been Black men out there that have done some horrible things. That goes without saying. Just like there's been Black women that have done some horrible things. I think the problem with casual radical feminists is that it's easy for them to take examples of Black women that they know who have done horrible things and to paint that as a reflection of all men, versus recognizing the unique place Black men have in society in particular, and also recognizing that not all men are the same. But in order to do that, there has to be a recognition and understanding that if you're that person and that you believe that men are inherently bad and that men are inherently all these things, then it's going to be really hard for you to be able to live happily with a man and allow him to be a man and even trust him to be that, if you hold disdain and distrust of him in your heart. That is unfounded. That is not based upon really historical evidence. That's not based upon really anything other than media, other than a negative experience you've had in your life, and other than a lot of misunderstanding. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with you. This is something that I've noticed. It is basically anti-Black misandry and the way that it shows up I think one of the many ways that it shows up is radical feminism that is characterized in a casual way, that it is subtle, but also equally as dangerous. Anyways, y'all, that's what I have. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Also, be sure to sign up for my newsletter. You can be updated when I post and of other things that are going on, new products. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.
I'm really excited to announce my new kids book, Aisha Learns to Love Her Hair. Aisha's hair is stunning, but she struggles to see its beauty. Through encouragement and wisdom from Grandma Lily, Aisha learns powerful lessons about self-acceptance. Aisha's journey is a heartwarming tale of family, culture, and confidence. Share her magical journey with your little loved one today, available for purchase.